Uncle Colin, thank you so much for inviting us out here today to this beautiful bit of country. Bunjil's Nest it's called, or Bunjil's?
Bunjil Place we call it.
Bunjil Place. Couldn't think of a better name for it, looking out over
Yes.
the land over there. Uncle, you're here because you are the elder in residence at Dardi Munwurro. That in itself is a fairly prestigious sort of role and a very important role. Give us a bit of an overview of what's involved with being the elder in residence at such a very important organisation such as Dardi.
So for me it's really an honourable position and a blessed position, and as an elder gives me, that I'm still wanted and needed, and that's the way it comes across. So being in resident means that I can, I sit in most programs or most groups, working with alcohol and drugs, or just people, wanting some peace of mind, or, with the mental issues that we got going on in the world and that happened from COVID. So I get it's a really honourable position that I can sit across, even with the youth, the women, men in groups, and just I guess above all is the comfort and just our staff, and being with them and letting them know that they're wanted, needed, and that their safety, that they're looked after the proper way.
You mentioned before that you weren't a stranger to just giving someone a hug when they needed it as well.
No.
How important is that for a lot of these people?
Absolutely. Every morning I got this little thing, I walk through the door and I start it with the secretary, the secretary, and so I just go over there and just give everybody hugs. So I do it every morning. It's just to make them, that I'm there today, and just to give them a little pat on the back and a hug, and it sort of sets them up for the day. They always know then that somebody cares about them, because that's who we are as Aboriginal people. We're carers and sharers, and I want them to know that.
And it's interesting, whenever I've gone to Dardi Munwurro and seen you sitting there in the gathering place outside, you're the one who's listening. You're rarely talking. So I assume that's an enormous part of what you're doing in this care for those people who are just listening to all these stories. And it must be a bit of a burden on you, because you're taking a fair bit on yourself.
I take a lot on, but I have different ways of dealing with my stuff, and as you well know, I'm into making stuff with my hands, and so that's my little time out, or time alone, or Col's time, where I can go down and I might make something and I can forget about things. But I think it's most important. It's not about me. It's about these young people, and I got a young family of my own, and grandkids and of my own, so who's going to look after them when I'm not around? So it's really important work for me that, I have the assurance by listening to them and taking on their troubles to make them better at what they do, that I have the assurance that they'll do well in this area and maybe do something for my family, or, that we still got elders, or we got people stepping up in those areas.
And you were mentioning before also that it's not just for the people going through the programs at Dardi Munwurro, but you're also there as the elder in residence for the staff.
Absolutely.
So, and the staff, there's a fair few there now, aren't there?
Yeah.
So I can assume that that's fairly full on a lot of the time.
Yeah, there's 43 now, and so we started off with 2, and now we've got, office and things, and I think it's a great thing that Dardi has grown so much. So with the growth comes more responsibility, and each one in the office down there now is doing maybe more than they should be. But I just want them to know, that if I can help them in any way, no matter what, it's I'm there to listen to them, to grow them on, or to give them the love that they need to be able to perform at their best.
How important do you think that showing and giving the love is in a leader in this particular space, in the black space?
I think it's something we're lacking right across the community. And when I say that, I just been recently home to Albury, and I've never seen so many sad blackfellas, you know. It's they don't have the space, or they don't have, you know, people that comes around and do that for them, or be with them, or have a cup of tea. It's all these little things that are not being done. And I know I'm only just one, but hopefully it'll rub off onto others, you know. And the other organisations or wherever we go will catch on to this, that elders, we're not ready to be put away and just left there. For me, I'll probably do this until I can't do it anymore, because I just love doing that, and I love, you know, talking to people, you know, and just being with people is something I've got to be able to do that.
Do you see much change in people, the men going through the programs at Dardi, after they've had this opportunity to unburden a lot of their emotional baggage onto an elder such as yourself, someone who listens, someone who's got empathy and understanding? Do you see that impacts on them?
Oh, absolutely, because some of them, when we start listening to their stories, is some of their stuff is really deep, you know. It happened when they were 5 or 7, or, you know, never had the, even though I went out fencing and doing the things back in Wilcannia, I wouldn't swap it for quids, because it built me up to make me who I am. But these ones that we got now, men, you know, are broken. The emotion or the hurts and the pains that they go through is covered up by drugs, alcohol, and, you know, abuse in family life and things, because they had all that pain and hurt then. So what we're trying to do is to go to where we can, you know, they can trust us, that we're there to help them, to show them that, you know, there's 2 ways of life. One is surviving and one is living, and we want them to live just like I do.
As a leader and an elder, though, how do you get these men to trust you? Because as you said, a lot of these men are coming into programs, they've been subjected to some fairly horrific experiences over their lives, and they've learnt not to trust. How do you, as a leader and an elder, start to establish and build that trust with these men?
Well, the first thing I like to be able to do is connect to their mobs. You know, look, I might know your family or your mother or your father or somebody or a grandparent in those areas, but I want to connect with them. And it's fine if they don't accept me the first go, but I'm just like one of those dogs that just won't go away. I'll keep coming back, because I just love that. Underneath all of it, it's a persona they put up there, you know, to protect themselves, because that's what they had to do. And I'll just want to break that barrier down, and I'll keep trying. I'll just keep going back to them. But what I do is mainly tell them I love them, you know. I care for you, and I want to share with you. And that's the simple things of a blackfellow, you know. You can come and have something with me. I'll buy you something. It's not about buying too, but you know, we can sit down, we can have a coffee, we can do all the things. You just tell me what you need, or even just some part of it. Let me sit with you. Let me have a yarn with you. It costs nothing for those sorts of things.
How important do you believe that having an elder in residence such as yourself is in general black organisations? I mean, obviously we've got one here at Dardi Munwurro in you. Is that a model that you would like to see implemented right across mainstream black organisations, that there is that elder that people can go to and just unburden and share with?
Uncle, I think it'd be a great thing if organisations started looking at their elders, you know, and realising that, you know, we just don't want to be put away.
Mm.
We want to live. For me, I reckon I'm not going to die, but you know that's wrong. But the thing is, I love life so much, even at this age. I love life so much that, you know, I've got too many things to do. I love my grannies and, you know, everyone down in that Preston office, I love each and every one of them. And going down there each morning and doing what I do, you know, I get a lot of that love back. And it's great to have this great big family. I got one in Albury and one in Mildura and, you know, and wherever I go, and I just love people. And they always, you know, give me the greatest respect, ringing people up. So, you know, it's never ending for me. And I think organisation it'd be advisable for them to start looking at that model of having elders around, because I tell you what, they make a difference.
But who do you unburden to? Because you're there providing all that care, taking all these stories on. It's got to affect you at some level. How do you manage to deal with that?
I have different ways. I do a lot of analysing or sitting. I like quiet times as well. So I do a lot of thinking, and then I got, you know, my son and my daughter and the grannies, and so I can ring them up, or mostly we talk every day. But you know, when I go in there, I don't see it as a, you know, I know I do a lot of stuff in that area that can take you down, but I have ways of dealing with it, like my quiet time, or when I come home I like to watch a show, so that's my first let down for the day. The Chase, I love
guilty
that
pleasure,
show.
eh?
Yeah. I do little things to help me, you know, that I know that's worked for me over time. It's pretty hard to explain it, but...
But there's also your art, isn't there?
Oh,
And you started art late when you were 52 years old.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
I was a printer by trade, so I operated the first ever Docutech that came out of America.
Sure.
It was like a huge thing, and it was driven by a computer. Never had a computer in my life, never touched one. So all the stuff I did was, you know, the old time printing, which was offset. And anyway, I got that job and I was there for X amount of time. I think it was 19 and a half years. But through that job, I wanted to do 20, but I never made it. And so my dear wife, she was alive then, and she was at this course doing art, and she was a pretty good artist herself. And I said to her, and I could see how happy she was, and you know, I was struggling a little bit. You know, you got every morning 6 o'clock, get home about 5. And it's just a drag, and I said, I want to do something. She said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to join you. I said, I want to go with you. She said, what about your job and things? I said, it doesn't appeal to me anymore. I don't want to do it. I said, I want to get 20 years. But she said, if you don't want to do it now, and it's become an art, she said, why don't you just give it up? So within 2 weeks I was out of it. And I joined their course with her, and the rest is history.
But your art is, we yarned a few months ago about, especially your bowls.
Yeah.
You were very particular about the timber you use. You don't
Yeah.
just duck into Bunnings and pick up a bit of timber and start carving it, do you?
No.
So tell us about the process that you go through to select your timber.
Yeah, well, see, that's part of that, you know, letting my stuff go with what I deal with and things. It's all part of a little process I go through. So when I go to Mildura, I like to go out in the bush again. So I got a really good friend up there, and he's got a lot of acreage, and it's got a lot of wood on it, mallee, bit of mulga, all the stuff that I need. And it's like walking into Bunnings, but I'm out in the bush. If you can understand that.
Of course.
So, you know, I see the tracks, goannas, snakes, all sorts of little things, and listening to the bird. And you can shop around in there and find what you need to find. So that's like a therapy to me, and I know what I want when I see it. If you were to ask me when I walk in there, then I can't tell you. I don't know what I want. I'll just see it. When I see it, I know what I want.
So the country will tell you.
Yes, that's what I believe.
Unc, if you were to pass on one or two bits of advice to young people now for them to become leaders in the future, what would it be?
First of all, I think it has to be them. They have to make that choice. And when they make the choice, you know, be firm about what you want in life. If you, for example, if you make a choice, I want to live a good life, then everybody around you gets the benefit of that. My advice is to make the choice and to follow it. And then out of all of that, the other things are added to you. That's what I say to them. But my advice with them is, you know, I think it's got to start at home. You know, and I know there's mothers and fathers missing, but people need to make a choice. Do I want to live, or do I want to, you know, just survive until such time? There's too much pain in the world. So, you know, you've got to make the right choice. I want to live and be a good start.
Uncle Col, I want to thank you so much indeed for sparing some time with us and sharing your words of wisdom, and also just a little glimpse into your life as an elder. So thanks so much indeed, and respect to you, Unc.
And thank you, Unc, for, you know, coming and spending this time with me and doing today's little sitting and yarning. I love that, and I love talking, as you very well know. I could talk all day, but yeah, just thanks for coming and sharing with me.